Welcome to NFT Malam, number 9, 2.0. Tonight, we are streaming live from Alta Productions. We are welcoming speaker Shinto from Singapore from below, and we are also welcoming a new host, Ezekiel Tan. Welcome, Ezekiel. Welcome, Shinto.
Okay. Thank you, Kafi. Alright, I'm your new host, Ezekiel here. So actually today, on behalf of NFT Malam, I'm very happy to actually introduce Shinto. Alright, underwater photographer, NFT creator, and what else? Ocean storyteller. So actually, Shinto, you had 2 collections. I wish to know more about your exhibition in MBS. Could you share more?
Yeah, for sure. So, hi everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're listening from. My name is Shinto. I'm currently based out of Singapore. I'm originally from India. I moved here about 5 years ago. I'm an underwater photographer. I love to dive, and I like to take photos of the different marine creatures and show it to the world. For the majority of the world who doesn't know what exists below the waves. So I started diving in like 2013. So it's been 9 years. Yeah, I'm really bad at math. But yeah, I've been diving ever since. Since you asked about the exhibition, we can
Correct.
start from that first. So before all the NFT and all the Web3, I was still doing the photography side of ocean. So there is an ongoing exhibition currently at MBS, Art Science Museum in Singapore. It's free of cost. Everyone can walk in and see. The exhibition is called Singapore from Below. It's an exhibition where we wanted to show a different side of Singapore, the Singapore beneath the waves, because people didn't even know there is diving or there is ocean or there is marine biodiversity in Singapore without like showing it to them. So every time I talk to someone, they say, "Oh, we can dive in Singapore." We didn't know that. So that was the idea behind the whole collection or the whole theme, Singapore from Below. We wanted to show. So like 4 of us, 4 different photographers came together, and then we set up a small exhibit in Art Science Museum to show some of the photos we have taken in like last couple of years. And yeah, that's part of so there is an ongoing festival called Waves of Change. It's about ocean and ocean conservation. So we are also part of that. So that's the exhibition. So if you haven't checked out, it's there for another 1 month. So walk into MBS and just have a good time.
Cool. So that means if I were to go to MBS, I should be able to find you, right? In MBS.
If it's a weekend, so I was there last weekend, and I'm probably going to be there most of the weekends. But yeah, you'll find me there. So the exhibition's happening on the 4th floor of Art Science Museum. So that's probably where I'll be.
So if you want to see Shinto art collection, so be sure to check out at MBS. All right. Weekends, Shinto will be there.
No promise, but I'm trying. So shall we talk a little bit more about Singapore? When I started diving, so we can start a little bit about diving or like how I started.
Actually, I think the audience will want to know your backstory.
Right. Yeah, I felt that it's because diving is, for most of the people who are listening, or might be a very new thing, or so it's always good to give some background how I started, how I became this crazy about the ocean. So I've always been interested in all this documentaries and all these films where they show Blue Planet or like Nature
Nat
World.
Geo.
Nat Geo, exactly. So that's always been an inspiration. Then in 2013, that's when I first started diving. I got a chance to dive when I was on a business trip to Oman, and it just changed my mentality, because when I was watching these documentaries, I was thinking half of these things are camera tricks. They add colors in the post-production, and then they make it more colorful to look more attractive. But when you do that first dive, I realize all of these things are true. It's not from a post-production. It's all there. All the colors are right there. It was like a well-set aquarium. So that just got me. So I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do for a very long time now. This is what I'm going to do again and again. So yeah, that's how I started diving. Then I came back to India. So I was based in India at that time. And I came back to India. I started reading about diving. How can I continue? Then I took a trip to Phuket. That's where I did my first license, the first course, open water diving. Then from there, I went to Indonesia to make it advanced. So you have like certain courses if you want to continue diving. So after that, again, I didn't stop there. I went to do a bunch of more courses, and eventually in 2017, that time I was working in India, but then I left my job and I went to Maldives. I moved to Maldives to do a dive master course. So I did the course first, and then I started working there. So it was amazing. It was one of the best careers I had. I mean, living in Maldives and making money is like a dream for majority of the world. So that's what I did. And like by end of the 2017, I decided to move to Singapore. Mostly because Singapore had a lot more opportunities in terms of career, as well as even for diving, because we geographically we sit right at the Coral Triangle. It's one of the most marine diverse area in the world. So like we have Indonesia, Philippines, Thailand, and Singapore. All of them combined contains the most biodiversity in the world. So yeah, that's one of the reasons. It's like close proximity to all the places which I wanted to go. So that's the reason I moved to Singapore. It was an easy move for me when I got an opportunity here. Then I moved here, and first couple of years were really good. I got to travel to a lot of places. I got to shoot. That's also the time where I started focusing more on photography. That's what happened till pandemic.
So the next question is actually, what got you into the whole NFT Web3, minting all the collections from Unicorn of the Blue and below from Singapore?
Right. So all these things happened, whatever I explained happened before pandemic. I call it BP. Like after pandemic.
AP, BP.
AP and BP. Then after pandemic, what happened, like 2020, we all got stuck in Singapore. I was not able to travel to any of my dive sites. I was like sitting at home, watching my old photos, editing them again and again. I was not diving in Singapore before that. But then my friends actually introduced me to the diving in the local waters here in Singapore in 2020. So that was kind of life-changing for me. At the same time, I was also like listening to different podcasts and Clubhouse chats and like Twitter Spaces. And I came across this thing called NFT. I had absolutely no clue. This was 2020. And even like the people who were talking there had like not a clear idea what exactly they are. Then, yeah, I started reading about it. I started listening to, I started watching YouTube videos. And it got me interesting. I realized there's like a huge community who comes around this Web3, and like there is a lot of people who supports each other. There's a lot of creators who makes living out of it, which is probably the dream for every creator, like with being independent, get that freedom of like continue and pursue what you really like. So yeah, NFT was like a new idea. It was a very fresh idea, and then you're stuck at home, when you don't have a lot of opportunities to explore, you feel like, yeah, everything is a great idea, and then you started investing more and more time into it. So that's then, like, it was almost at the end of 2020, and then 2021 is when I really started got serious about it, like mid 2020, 2021. That's when I thought about, okay, everyone are creating collections, everyone are showing what they have as a creator to this Web3 world. And like by the time I was already very comfortable with Web3, I was with the community, with the whole crypto side of it.
Whole decentralization,
exactly.
Right?
It was really interesting for me. Like there is a lot of progressing aspects to this NFTs and whole crypto. And yeah, I also wanted to show something of my own. Then I started thinking, what shall I bring to NFTs? Like it shouldn't be just any photos. It shouldn't be just any video which I just shot. It has to be something very personal. I should be able to tell a story which people or listeners, because you're not meeting anyone that time. It's all online. Everything was either a chat room or a clubhouse.
So it's like
talk.
the visual component, whereas a picture speaks 1,000 words.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
But I also wanted to make it more personal. So this is where, so I got a good idea that I want to show which I did something over the past 2 years, so everyone will be able to relate to it. So that's when I thought about the collection Singapore from Below initially, because people didn't know diving existed in Singapore without me telling, okay, you can dive in Singapore. That was one motivation behind it. And the second thing is, that's all what I did during this 2 years. So I was diving and exploring in Singapore. So it made it very easy for me to explain it to people. This is what I'm going to bring to NFT when I do a first mint. I'm going to create a collection about Singapore, about the underwater world in Singapore, and then just share a lot of information about, like, yeah, what I found when I go diving over the weekend in Singapore waters. I think probably we can air some of the photos from the collection so I can explain a little bit. Yeah, there you go.
Wow.
Thank you. So as you can see, like all of these photos, all these shots are taken in Singapore. Like people don't really believe me when I show them, okay, yeah, this is like Finding Nemo. How do you find? Like I've been to Sentosa. I've never seen this. Where can I find this, or where can I go diving and then see this?
To them, it's like all these are all Photoshop, all like
exactly.
a bit.
I mean, that's kind of questions I get most of the time. Any underwater photos I show to the world, like is this the real color, or like is it like you have added something extra to it? But I want to be really honest. Like the colors are all from the creatures. I didn't add anything. They look exactly how they are in the photo. Yeah, I might have processed and cleaned up some like backscatter, which is like a different light effects or anything. But other than that, there is no extra colors added to it. But yeah, this is how Singapore looks from below.
You have to bring me, let's go diving, and I really want to actually, take some photos.
Yeah, it's really not that difficult to go diving in Singapore, because you don't really have to take a flight. You can just take a boat and just go half an hour, and then you're already reached the islands here. So you have a bunch of different islands, St. John's, Pulau Hantu, then Lazarus. So there's a few islands where you can do diving, and then it's all beautiful.
Wow.
And yeah, this was also my first collection, and people actually was very happy about it. Like, so when I started explaining it to them, okay, this is why I wanted to show Singapore. Actually, the previous collection, if you can, the OpenSea one, yeah. I was able to sell quite a few photographs, I would say stories, not photograph. I don't want to say it as a photograph. Because it was a new idea. There was no other people who was shooting in Singapore in Web3 community. So it was easy for me to pitch in and explain, okay, this is what this creature is. And this is why I love shooting them. And yeah, I was able to sell most of them.
What's this little demon eye? Very curious.
So that's actually a whip coral goby. Oh, we lost it. Okay, there you go. So little demon eye, it's actually very tiny. It's about 3 centimeter.
Oh.
That's the size. Yeah, I think 2 centimeter. That's the size of that fish, and it's resting on that coral.
Coral.
Yeah, it's a coral. It's so we have to use some special equipments, like something like a magnifying glass to actually shoot this. But they are very easy to spot in Singapore because you have these corals in most of the dive sites. So you can actually go there on the coral and then search for these fish if they are resting on that. So yeah, that's one of my favorite image from, actually it was also the most expensive one I was able to sell from the collection too. Yeah, there was wire coral goby, that's the fish.
Wire coral goby.
Right. Yeah, then after this one, so this one, well, like really successfully, people were able to accept it. I was really happy that people really able to resonate with the images which I show. Then I wanted to show like my past images, which are taken from different part of the world, not just from Singapore, and also on a different level when it compares to, like, in terms of quality or like the subjects itself. You have kind of a limitation in Singapore in terms of visibility. So the water here is really murky. So you don't really able to find a lot of exotic things. The things what you see are a little bit common. Whereas when I wanted to bring the second collection. So it's called Unicorns of the Blue. Yeah. Unicorns of the Blue. So yeah, there you go. So the Unicorns of the Blue, I wanted to select some of my best photographs. At the same time, seahorses. Seahorses are one of my favorite subjects. They are really fascinating creatures. They have a lot of characters, and they don't really like your camera. They don't like your camera, they don't like your lights. So it's very rewarding for me when I take a good photo of a seahorse. That's also the reason I wanted to, okay, this is gonna be a premium collection. I wanted to bring something more, like something which are much better in terms of quality or in terms of the subject itself.
For the last picture,
Right.
Is it the male seahorse giving birth or?
Not really. So the last picture is called the Moonlight. So it looks like the moon is shining behind the seahorse, and it was shot in black and white. I mean, it was not shot in black and white, but later I changed it to black and white. I really like that image. It's one of the, I mean, it is my favorite image from the whole collection.
I was very drawn into the whole, the last picture, which is,
The
seahorse under the moonlight.
So it's actually inspired. So there was, I would say it's an accidental shot. So what I was diving in Philippines. There's a place called Anilao, very close to Manila, a couple of hours. Amazing place for photographers, amazing place for diving and photography. So I was diving with my friend Andy, and we were just helping each other to shoot good photos. So this was 2019. So this was shot pre-pandemic. So what I was trying is, like, I was asking my friend to hold his torch behind the seahorse to get a, what do you say, just the silhouette kind of silhouette kind of photo. I just wanted the edges of the seahorse, nothing else. So that was the image which I was going for. Then, yeah, I took a couple of shots like that. It was nice. It was what I was pictured in my mind. Then he took his photos. So he's also a photographer, so he was taking his photos. We were happy. Then while he was taking his photo, I realized, okay, this looks like something different. Like this is something different. I wanted to capture it in a way like it reminds me of a moon. And every time someone see that photo, people will ask me the question, okay, how did you get the seahorse with the moon in the background?
Yep.
So it became like a very good icebreaker, and I was able to, yeah, the whole story, just like the way how I told you, I was able to. So that was the center point for this whole collection. That's the one I started with. Yeah, it's called the Moonlight, and it's still shining.
Wow.
I can also talk about the other couple of images, the pink one and the red one on the top.
I want to know the red one on the top.
Right. So both of them are the same species of seahorse. It's called a Pygmy Seahorse.
Pygmy Seahorse.
Very tiny, really tiny actually. Again, 1 or 2 centimeters in size.
Okay.
And they are camouflaged amazingly with the coral where they live on. So it's really hard to find these creatures. So it took a really long time for me to spot one of these seahorses. And when I saw them, they were like instantly become one of my favorite subjects to shoot. I mean, even when I look at them, I can just still remember the dives where I just go just hunting for them, like just searching for them. So the challenge shooting these seahorses are like they are usually a little bit deeper, 20 meters or 25 meters deeper. And when you're going down, so we are diving.
Pressure, right? And then the tank
pressure.
exhaustion.
Exactly.
Exhaustion, sorry.
So there are a couple of challenges. You have, as divers, we have always we have a limitation of time. We don't have the luxury of other wildlife
This I'm very
photographers.
curious. So how long do you actually go down to 20 meters? What's the duration you can last that down there?
So that's actually a very good question.
Yeah.
So the deeper you go, the lesser time you can spend.
Correct.
So if in a 20-meter dive, you can probably spend about 25 to 30 minutes. That is the maximum. You will either run out of time with the air, or there's something called decompression, which means that you cannot breathe a lot of compressed air in certain depths. There's a lot of science behind it.
Of course.
But yeah, you get about 20 to 25 on a safer side. You can stretch it, but I will go about 25 minutes. But yeah, that's what happens to shoot. So the pink one on the bottom actually won a few awards. And the top one is actually the one on the corner. It's called the Pink Dragon. That one actually, for me, was more challenging to shoot because during that shot, the currents were really strong. So for a marine biologist, actually, you can see the difference between both the pictures. In one, the coral is closed, which means the currents are not there. And then the other one, the corals are really open, which means there's a strong current. So it's very challenging to shoot when there's a strong current and like a tiny subject, and like you're swimming with a very heavy equipment along with your scuba gear and a lot of things. So for me, that was one of the most challenging pictures out of all.
I have a very curious question as well.
Right.
Second curious question. What camera model do you use?
Right.
To be able to shoot such fascinating photos of such high quality?
Okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a very expensive camera. Actually, most of the pictures are shot with different cameras. The Moonlight was probably, it was shot with a Sony A7 III. That's my most expensive gear setup. But the one before, both pink dragons, the pink unicorns, they were shot with Olympus EM10. It's a mirrorless camera, but a very small setup, very easy to travel with. Then actually from the Singapore collection, there was a couple of images shot with the point and shoot camera. So it doesn't really have to be a really expensive camera, because you're not shooting something really far. You're shooting really close. And as far as you know how to control the lighting, you can get really good images even with a point and shoot camera. Yeah, later I'll show you something even shot with even cheaper setup coming soon.
Okay.
But yeah, the Unicorns of the Blue was one of the premium collection which I released in Foundation, where I wanted to tell a lot about seahorses and how, like, it's not just about the image itself. There's also a good description about each image, how I captured it, or what was the story behind this encounter. So it's not just about NFTs or just selling NFTs. It's just about sharing what I wanted. This is the story what I wanted to tell. That's the whole Unicorns of the Blue. There's also one image in that whole collection which I shot from Singapore. So there is also, you can see seahorses in Singapore. So if you see the third image from the top, that one is shot in Singapore, in Pulau Hantu. So yeah, that's an image. There's actually a very beautiful story behind the image. It's a sad story, but it'll be worth reading the whole story about it.
Because I see that a lot of your collection, right? Sorry. A lot of your collection were all on very small animals and then, corals. Will you be actually, uploading more collections towards the bigger fish, mammals, whales, sharks, etc.?
Yeah, of course. That's the ultimate dream. Just travel first, and then just go to a place where I can shoot big animals and then bring it to the NFT world. But on a lighter note, yes, I do have some good images from the time I was working in Maldives. I wanted to bring it. At the same time, I'm also traveling to Sipadan on an expedition next week. Actually, not next week, sorry. In a couple of weeks, October first week. So probably I'll be able to get some big fish for you. Sure. But yeah, the images which I took are small animals only because of the location. The first collection, Singapore from Below, you can mostly shoot very tiny subjects. So that was the reason, like the subjects are small, it's all macro focused photography. But yeah, I actually wanted to show one video since you asked about the big fish and like probably that will give you a little bit bigger picture of what we have.
All right, I'll actually take a look at the video later. Okay, thank you so much, Shinto, for sharing. Really appreciate, your backstory and how your whole ocean storytelling come about. Actually, for now, I would like to actually pass them. Yeah. Thank you, Shinto, it was such a beautiful video. So actually, I want to pass the mic back to Kafi. So Kafi, do you have any questions for Shinto after watching the video, his backstory,
I do. Thank you, Ezekiel.
Welcome.
Thank you, Shinto, for sharing your story, your journey into NFTs, and actually your art and your diving practice. I wanted to know, how did it feel to sell out of your NFT project? What were your feelings about that?
Um, it's a very good feeling to have. So the sellout project was the video which you just saw. It's called the Turtle Friends, and the feeling itself is like there are people out there who are ready to spend money or Ethereum for something which you have created. I felt like I was really confident. It boosts your confidence. At the same time, you get that feeling of community, like everyone want to support you, or like, yeah, I felt special. That's in one word.
Right. And so you mentioned it before, your art show, Singapore from Below. Could you mention it one more time for our listeners, where it's at and
Absolutely.
how long it'll be up for?
Absolutely. So this one is called, there's a festival ongoing in Marina Bay
Mhm.
Sands Art Science Museum. If you're from Singapore, you already know the place. So the festival is called Waves of Change. It's about ocean conservation and awareness. And I have a small exhibit along with a couple of other photographers. It's called Singapore from Below. Some beautiful photographers, not just mine, but like my fellow photographers as well. We have a small setup, small exhibit on the fourth floor of Art Science Museum, and the exhibit is going to be there till October 9th. So if you are in Singapore, if you're free, it's a free admission, so feel free to walk in and then let me know how you like the whole exhibition.
Thank you so much, Shinto. And right now, we'd like to take time to thank our sponsors. We'd like to thank our founders of NFT Malam, BK Han of Metaverse Generation, Mike Chua of FanFare Global, excuse me. We'd like to thank Sean McCulley of Gaijin Izakaya. We'd like to thank Tian Tech of Sticky Spy Presentations. And last but definitely not least, we'd like to thank our new sponsors, Alta Productions, where we've had this amazing live stream today. Thank you so much for joining us for this first part of NFT Malam, and we will see you shortly for our next speaker, Patrick Kwan of MGen Labs. Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Kafi. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.